Celtic fans, gather round, because there's a story unfolding that says a lot about what it means to wear the green and white hoops, the pressure that comes with it, and the way a player's journey can twist and turn before it truly finds direction. When you think of Celtic, you think of passion, loyalty, and an expectation that whoever pulls on that shirt gives everything, week in and week out. But behind the noise of the terraces and the demands of competition, there are human stories, struggles, and challenges that shape the careers of the very players supporters put on a pedestal. And this week, thanks to none other than Joe Hart, we got a glimpse into one of those stories. Joe Hart is a name that carries weight, not just because of what he achieved in England with Manchester City, but because of the way he came north of the border and embraced everything Celtic stands for. He wasn't supposed to become a hero in Glasgow. By the time he joined, many had written him off. He was the goalkeeper who had been discarded, passed over, shuffled from club to club without a clear future. Yet what happened at Celtic Park was a rebirth. Under Ange Postecoglou, Hart found his place again. He became a leader, a voice in the dressing room, and most importantly, a goalkeeper the fans could trust. Then Brendan Rodgers carried that forward, keeping Hart as one of the pillars of the squad until the day he decided to hang up the gloves in 2024. By then, he wasn't just a player. He was part of Celtic folklore, one of those figures people will look back on with warmth for years to come. Now, stepping into the media spotlight, Hart has turned into an ambassador for the hoops, speaking openly about his love for the club and what it meant to him personally. But it was his comments during Celtic's clash against Red Star Belgrade that sparked conversation this week. Reflecting on his experiences, Hart pulled back the curtain on a player who, in his words, wasn't always fully tuned in when he first arrived in Europe. That player? Kelechi Iheanacho. Yes, the same Iheanacho now wearing the green and white, looking to make his own mark on this famous club. Hart recounted the early days, when Iheanacho came into Manchester City's squad under Manuel Pellegrini. Back then, he was an unknown, not just to fans, but even to some teammates. Hart admitted that Iheanacho missed a few training sessions, describing him as not quite with it, almost unaware of the level he had suddenly been thrust into. Imagine that, a teenager pulled into one of the most competitive squads in Europe, expected to learn and adapt instantly, while still figuring out life in a completely different country. It's a reminder that footballers, no matter how much talent they carry, are still young people trying to adjust to pressure, culture, and expectation all at once. But as Hart pointed out, Iheanacho eventually found his feet. He delivered big moments in a Manchester City shirt, then secured his move to Leicester City, where he truly started to blossom. The journey wasn't straightforward. There were tough months, even tough years, but that's football. Sometimes it breaks you down before it builds you up again. And now, here at Celtic, Iheanacho finds himself at another pivotal point. This isn't just a stop along the way. This is a chance to ingrain himself into the history of a club that demands heroes. The truth is, Iheanacho's arrival in Glasgow was met with mixed feelings. Many supporters had grumbled through the transfer window, frustrated by what they saw as a lack of ambition in bringing in reinforcements, especially in the attacking department. Targets like Kasper Dolberg slipped away, and the sense was that Celtic were once again scrambling rather than building with intent. So when Iheanacho came in after the window had technically closed, it felt to some like a patch rather than a plan. But football isn't always about the first choice or the cleanest execution of a transfer strategy. Sometimes it's about what you do with the opportunity when it's handed to you. And in Iheanacho's case, this could be the fresh start that reignites his career at the highest level. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the depth Celtic now have up front. For years, there has been a reliance on one or two main strikers to carry the load, with little genuine competition behind them. That's no longer the case. With Iheanacho stepping into the fold, Brendan Rodgers suddenly has options. Adam Idah is gone, Kyogo Furuhashi has moved on, and yet, there's a sense that the striking department might not be as vulnerable as some feared. But let's be clear, Iheanacho won't have the luxury of skipping training or easing his way in. Not at Celtic. Not in this environment. Every training session matters. Every performance is scrutinized. The supporters demand commitment, and the squad itself doesn't allow for passengers. Yet there's more to this story than just one player. Celtic's summer business has left many scratching their heads. For summer signings are absent from the squad list submitted to UEFA for the group stage of European competition. Among those left out are Jamai Simpson-Pusey, on loan from Manchester City, and Shin Yamada, both of whom will be sitting at home on European nights. That decision has fueled further criticism of how the club planned its transfer window. Supporters feel that while domestic dominance might still be within reach, competing against Europe's elite requires more foresight, more backing of the manager, and more clarity in the way the squad is built. When fans see new signings excluded before the campaign even begins, it naturally raises doubts about whether the club truly maximized its opportunities in the market. And so, as Celtic prepare for crucial nights like the one in Belgrade, there's a dual story unfolding. On one hand, you have a player like Kelechi Iheanacho, given the platform to prove himself again, to show that he's matured beyond the inconsistency of his early career. On the other, you have a fan base that continues to hold the board accountable, urging them to do more, to match the ambition that Celtic supporters feel in their bones. For Iheanacho, this is about more than scoring goals. It's about earning trust, about putting to rest those stories of missed sessions and half-hearted moments, and about showing that when Celtic called, he was ready to answer with everything he's got. When you take a step back and look at Celtic's current moment, it becomes clear that what's happening isn't just about the football on the pitch, but also about the larger identity of the club. Celtic are always caught between two worlds. On one hand, there is the domestic scene, where the club is expected to dominate, win trophies, and maintain its historic place as Scotland's leading side. On the other hand, there is the European stage, the place where supporters yearn for respect, for recognition, for those magical nights under the lights that remind everyone of Lisbon, Seville, and countless epic encounters. The truth is, Celtic supporters do not just want to be participants in Europe. They want to be challengers, to see their side punch above its weight, and to prove that with the right blend of fight and footballing quality, they can mix it with anyone. That is the eternal challenge. This is where the squad decisions and transfer frustrations really start to bite. Every year, the same narrative seems to repeat itself. Celtic cruise through large chunks of the Scottish Premiership, but when the Champions League or Europa League arrives, reality often sets in. Supporters see glaring gaps in the squad, areas where the team looks thin, or where signings have been made without a clear strategy. And when those gaps are exposed against top European sides, the frustration grows. It is not simply about losing games, because Celtic fans can accept defeat if the team gives everything. It is about knowing that the club could have been better prepared, that opportunities were missed in the market, and that the players and manager are left fighting uphill battles they should never have faced in the first place. Take this summer, for instance. On paper, the recruitment drive looked busy enough, with names arriving and promises of building depth across key positions. But fast forward a few weeks, and you have 4 of those signings not even registered for the group stage. That is not a small detail. That is a symptom of a wider issue. Why bring players in only to leave them out of the most important competition of the season? Why invest in potential if that potential cannot be utilized when the stakes are at their highest? Supporters have asked these questions before, and unless answers come soon, they will continue to be asked louder and louder. Still, despite these frustrations, one of the most fascinating aspects of Celtic is the way the supporters never stop believing in the players who step onto the pitch. There is always hope that someone will rise to the occasion, that a new hero will emerge. For Kelechi Iheanacho, this is where his opportunity lies. He arrives with doubts swirling, with baggage from the past, but also with undeniable talent. If he can channel the energy of Celtic Park, if he can take the roar of the fans and use it to fuel his performances, then the story can change quickly. Football has a way of rewriting narratives. A few goals in big matches, a couple of tireless shifts leading the line, and suddenly, supporters start to see a player not as a gamble, but as a gift. The key for Iheanacho will be consistency. That word is everything at Celtic. It is not enough to shine once or twice. The demand here is to deliver week after week, whether it is a cold afternoon away at Livingston or a packed European night against one of the continent's giants. And let us not forget, this is a striker who has already shown flashes of brilliance in England. He has scored in crucial games, he has lifted silverware, and he has faced some of the best defenders in the world. The talent is there. What Celtic fans want to see now is the hunger, the drive, and the maturity that Joe Hart hinted at in his story. The days of missing training sessions are over. This is Glasgow. This is Celtic. You either give everything or you are quickly left behind. As we look towards the European fixtures, one can feel the tension building. The trip to Belgrade is not just another away game. It is a test of character. Serbian sides are notoriously difficult to play against, especially in their own stadiums where the atmosphere is electric and hostile. For Celtic, coming away with a result there would send a powerful message, not only to their group opponents, but also to their own supporters who are desperate for signs of progress. Brendan Rodgers knows this better than anyone. He has been here before, faced the questions about European failures, and listened to the criticisms when things went wrong. This time, he will want to silence those doubts, to show that Celtic are not just passengers in the competition, but a side with a genuine plan to make an impact. Of course, Europe is unpredictable. Matches can turn on a single mistake, a moment of brilliance, or a referee's decision. But what Celtic can control is their mentality. Too often in recent years, Celtic teams have gone into these fixtures already beaten in their minds, already half expecting the worst. That cannot be the case now. The squad has enough talent, enough energy, and enough spirit to cause problems for any opponent. What they need is belief, and that belief has to start from within the dressing room. Players like Callum McGregor, who understands the heartbeat of the club, will be crucial in setting the tone. New arrivals like Iheanacho must buy into it immediately, recognizing that they are not just representing themselves, but carrying the weight of generations of support behind them. Celtic Park itself remains one of the most powerful weapons in European football. When the fans are in full voice, when the stands shake with noise, even the biggest clubs in the world have admitted to feeling the pressure. That is something that cannot be underestimated. If Celtic can keep themselves in contention, if they can approach the home games with intensity and bravery, then the possibility of special nights is always alive. That is what the fans crave. They do not just want to watch football, they want to live experiences, to walk out of the stadium knowing they have witnessed something unforgettable. So here we are, at the start of another European campaign, with all the uncertainty, hope, and expectation that comes with it. Questions remain about the decisions made off the pitch, but on the pitch, the answers will be written in real time. For Iheanacho, for Rodgers, and for every player wearing the shirt, this is the moment to prove themselves. No excuses, no hiding. Just football, passion, and the chance to make history. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The Celtic Park terraces are buzzing like never before as whispers around Glasgow hint that Lennon Miller has just become the club's biggest young signing in history. It's the kind of news that sets hearts racing and tongues wagging from the boys' dressing room to the pubs lining Sachi Hall Street. While the Hoops have long been famed for unearthing young talent and turning promising lads into household names, the arrival of Miller seems to signal a new era, and it's got the whole footballing world leaning in with curiosity. Sources close to the club have been mum, but the rumor mill refuses to be silenced. Some claim that Miller's talent on the ball is nothing short of electric, a blend of creativity, vision, and raw pace that makes seasoned defenders sweat just watching him warm up. It's said that scouts have been trailing him for months, tracking every touch, pass, and sprint, until the consensus was clear. Celtic simply had to make him theirs. And if the whispers are to be believed, the fee involved, while undisclosed, reportedly shatters records for any youth signing the club has ever made. The very idea has supporters imagining a new superstar striding onto the hallowed turf of paradise, bringing a fresh surge of hope and ambition. Of course, with such a claim comes a swirl of speculation. Could Miller be the next in a line of Celtic icons? Or is the pressure of expectations too high for someone so young? Fans aren't waiting to find out. Social media is alive with chatter, with clips of Miller's past performances being dissected and praised. Some insist that his vision and composure suggest he could slot straight into Ange Postecoglou's system without missing a beat, while others dream of him forming a dazzling partnership with the club's existing stars. Whether it's hype or destiny, one thing is certain: Lennon Miller has got the city talking. Every pass, every touch, and every appearance in training is now under a microscope, and the sense of anticipation is almost tangible. Celtic supporters may have seen big names come and go, but the rumor of this latest signing has a special spark. If the reports hold any weight, Miller isn't just a signing, he's a statement. And at Celtic, statements are what turn whispers into roars. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.